Welcome to Detroit in Black and White. I'm Adolph Mungo. I'm live from St. Louis. We're here at McShane's. Alan Langle, co-founder of Deadline Detroit. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Attorney Vanessa Moss. Good morning, Vanessa.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to everyone that's watching Detroit Black and White, as well as our guest co-hosts. If you're watching, like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share. Sorry I'm not in the studio today. I have a split headache.
Okay, well, it'll be gone after you ran and raged over some of these topics we're going to talk about. Eric Brown, one of our contributors. How you doing, Eric?
I'm all right. Busy day today, but I'm all right.
Okay, and Jim Nardoni, and our guest host today, the new police chief of the city of Detroit. The last time we had you here, you were the deputy mayor. Now you're the police chief, Todd Bettison. Good morning, Chief.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here as always.
Hey, listen, before we get going, I just wanted to say we had some busy events the past week or so, the tree lighting and the Thanksgiving Day parade. How did that go, Chief?
Oh, yeah. You know, the tree lighting was really my first big test as interim police chief. Making sure that when you have a large gathering of folks, and, you know, Detroit is hot. Everybody wants to be a part of it. And so the downtown partnership told me that they expected about 50,000. I did a press conference before, you know, just letting everybody know what they expect, and we're going to have a nice police contingent, keep everyone safe. So I had Mission State Police, I had Wayne County Sheriff, of course, DPD is there. This is what we do. And then also just, you know, a lot of times in the past, we've had a lot of unsupervised juveniles to come down. And so just letting parents know, man, you know, it's okay for the kids. We want them down there, but just come with them, you know. Listen, I can tell you this. It exceeded my expectations. We had 115,000 people. It was beautiful. No incidents. We did have some juveniles that came down unsupervised. We ended up picking up about 30 of them. I got some parental responsibility tickets because I'm not trying to penalize juveniles. But when it comes to the parents, you know, we want to keep your kids safe. And so we just really believe in holding adults accountable. But I tell you that we got rave reviews from everybody who attended the tree lighting. If you saw the aerial shots, it almost looked like a mini NFL draft. It was amazing.
Hey, Todd, I got a question. When you guys are out there and you're talking to your troops out there and saying, here's what to look out for, obviously, you know, you don't want violence. Are there pickpocketers or people stealing things, or what are the things that you are out there looking for to protect people?
Most of the time, the pickpocketers come. We definitely give that type of information when it's going to be, if it's parades or big events. I remember doing that, but really with our troops, we were just telling our troops to look out for roving groups of individuals that look like they may be getting ready to start some trouble and things of that nature. And my officers, I was out there in full uniform. I did not go home until basically downtown cleared out. And I saw the officers doing a great job with the youth, ensuring that they kept them safe. And they had a lot of patience too. So giving folks directions, making sure that people don't have medical emergencies. And I want to give shout out to the fire department as well, because it's not just police. When you think about public safety, the DFD was there. And when you have large crowds and that type of capacity, making sure that everybody is safe, and for the private security and for the downtown partnership is really all hands on deck. And I can tell you that it was just a wonderful thing. And it just sets us up for more and more conventions, because when you do big, large events successful, it lets the country know that the city of Detroit is open for big, large-scale events. It makes individuals feel comfortable with bringing their conferences here, playoffs here, and, you know, hopefully the Lions do what they need to do. I can get ready to start preparing for the Super Bowl parade, which we know will be huge.
And just out of curiosity, that was, you know, that's a big event. and I was surprised they were only projecting 50,000 people. When people talk about that event, at least over the last 4 or 5 years, so to get so many projections, just threw me off because even a lot of people that I know were talking about it all week long.
I think that it's a lot of excitement from the NFL draft. When everybody saw 775,000 people, and you saw those aerial shots, you see how beautiful the city of Detroit is. We have people coming from as far as Chicago, it's coming from other places that's interested now. Quite honestly, Eric, everybody gathered to see somebody light up the Christmas tree. That's amazing to me because we were all there looking and they flicked it on. It's like, okay, y'all, that's it. So it's amazing, but everybody had a good time.
Vanessa, go ahead.
Two things. I don't know if you know this, Chief, but we have a Grinch on the show, and he just couldn't believe all them people went to go see them light up
a Christmas tree.
Well, then he gonna ask you about it anyway. I'm not throwing nobody
right.
under the bus. I'm just saying what I'm saying. But
I just got run over.
I want to ask you about something else.
Yes.
I'm always gonna ask you something different. I'm going to ask you about those 32 police officers that obviously, what is that?
IMCOs, their certification.
Yeah, didn't get their certification. How much of an impact has that had on your department? 1, 2, do you know how much of an impact that's going to have on any of the cases that these officers may have arrested people, that kind of thing? Can you expound on that?
I'm very happy to talk about that. And so, when I first heard about it, I was upset trying to figure out exactly okay, what happened? How did it happen? Wanted to wrap my arms around it. And so looking back at it is something that didn't happen with the City of Detroit Police Department. For example, we didn't have people that had left the Detroit Police Department that wanted to come back. Normally when they left, they stayed gone. The other thing is we never really had, prior to giving our officers these big raises, we never had officers leaving like the Taylor Police Department or other police departments actually wanting to join DPD. I got one kid that works in my office where he was a Wayne State police officer and he decided, hey, I want to join a better, I shouldn't say it like that, but of course, I think we the best of the best, but I want to join DPD. And so he joined the department. Well, we do a great job. We normally graduate about 40 officers a month out of our academy. Straight, never had a certificate, going through the academy, and we do a good job of graduating them. The officers that are being reinstated, when you leave a department, so when they separate from Wayne State, for example, at that point, Wayne State goes into the system, the mitten system through MCOs, which is Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards, goes into the system and says that they have separated from the department. They have to do that within 3 days. At that point, after 3 days, they go into an inactive status, their certification. The Detroit Police Department has folks over at the training section, and it was a person that was their job to do. They're supposed to enter them in as, okay, we have them now, so that their certificate can be activated, stay active. That didn't occur. I have a person, it was one person responsible for the job. The individual went out sick, and it was some things where it wasn't backup and redundancies. And now that's how we get to a point where we had 32 officers that had certificates, but it went into a inactive or either a lapsed status. And so I've talked to the director of MCOs. We're working on fixing that ASAP. That'll be resolved shortly. But does it have an impact on public safety? No. I graduate 30 officers or 40 officers roughly every month. I have a department of approximately 2,604 officers that are sworn. And so this is a little bump in the road for us as far as the impact to public safety. I was able to handle the tree lighting. I was able to handle the Thanksgiving Day parade and still cover the neighborhoods as well. So it's not impacting public safety. But Ms. Moss, I know that you are an attorney, and so now you're looking at the case aspect of it. And so I can't tell you exactly as far as speculating and looking into the future with that piece, but what I can tell you is I got a law department, I got lawyers, and we'll let our lawyers sort through that. I've been in contact with the prosecutor, and so she's looking at things on her end, and I will never speak for her. So, but I'm feeling comfortable in that we're going to be just fine.
Were you blindsided with that information, or did you see it coming? Did anybody alert you, or the outgoing chief say, you know, this is what's coming down on your watch now? You know, you inherit the cards now. You had to play the hand, and I think you played it well. We had Jim. Jim, you talked about that as a former police chief about the certification. Can you chip in on that?
Well, these are experienced officers. These are talented, experienced officers that made a decision. They went to another department when they thought it was going to be better. The grass is going to be greener, maybe in a place like Trenton or Oak Park or Sterling Heights. And they realized that they wanted to be part of Detroit, a world-class organization. And there's more opportunity in a big city, right? I policed Detroit. I was never a police officer in Detroit, but I was in 2 different drug units, both a state and a federal unit in the 90s. And it was tough. It's a lot better now, and we have a world-class city. I was down here for the football game, and obviously there was a race, there was a parade, and there was a football game. There's police officers, right? They were out there directing. It's hard work out there, and people need to appreciate what these officers do every day. And now they have a world-class police chief, and I'm really happy for that.
Yeah,
Hey, Todd, I got a question for you. What's the sales pitch to people who may be out in the suburbs or trying to determine whether they want to work in Sterling Heights? What's the sales pitch to lure people to your department as opposed to Sterling Heights or whatever?
With the Detroit Police Department, you get an opportunity. Well, we have competitive pay now, and so that was one of the things that made us not attractive. But now that we've given our officers a $10,000 raise and they're making good money, and it's comparable to the suburban departments, here you can be almost anything on the Detroit Police Department that you want to be. We have over 100 units. If you're in a smaller suburban department, the opportunity to work at a homicide section or a robbery unit or to go to aviation.
A helicopter. You're not going to be flying a helicopter in Lincoln Park, right?
Yeah, that won't happen. So if you're a police officer and you want to, be a part of the big in the suburban entities, oftentimes the reality of it is you're going to be on road patrol doing traffic. And so you will do traffic maybe for 15, 16 years, and then you don't have the ability to get promoted as quickly. Here, we're promoting all the time. I tell you this, I made lieutenant, I made sergeant within 5 years on the department. I made lieutenant a year later, and I was able to do that because the opportunity for turnover is a lot greater when you're with a larger department. So that's the big thing. But I wanted to go back really to what you said about Chief White. Chief White did give me a briefing about things that was coming down the pipe. One of the things when it came to the certification, at first I was told it was like 4 or 5 officers. And then when MCOs actually sent the list, because he had been told it was 4 or 5, but when they finally got the list from MCOs, it turned out to be 32. 2 of the officers had already separated from the department. They went on to do something else or whatever. So it's really a list of 30 officers that I'm dealing with. And like I said, very, very quickly, I'll have them back on before Thanksgiving. I pull them all into a meeting. I let the officers know this is not your fault. On the administrative side of the thing, we did something wrong with the department over on that side of the house, but I'm not pointing fingers. We're going to get past this. I'll put systems in place so this never, ever, ever happens again. It's not going to be just one person's job to do this. And if that person goes off sick, everything falls down. So we're going to have check, redundancy on top of redundancy.
And this has happened in a lot of departments over the years. This is nothing new. It's just because it's 32 officers because he has 2,600 sworn, but it happens often. But MCOs is a lot better than they used to be, I would say.
Yeah, the director was great. I feel great with them codes, and I don't have any issue with them codes at all. And so, like I said, under my leadership, I'm not pointing fingers. All I'm doing is get to the business of being a leader, leading and solving the problems, and making sure that we have systems in place so it doesn't reoccur.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to do our outrage of the week. This is Adolph Mongo, Detroit in black and white, live at McShane's on Michigan and Trumbull. Be right back.
Yes, sir.
In the heart of Detroit.
Departments had it. Every department.
In the heart of Detroit, Bruce Simpson. Our city ombudsman and his team are dedicated to making your voice heard. The City of Detroit Ombudsman is a liaison between the City of Detroit and all persons who have a complaint or inquiry into the operation of a city department or the conduct of a city employee. The Ombudsman works as an independent oversight to provide individuals with an opportunity of giving a confidential avenue to address complaints. You can reach the Ombudsman's office at 313-224-6000 or email us at ombudsmandetroitmi.gov. You can also visit us at the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. For more information, go to www.detroitmi.gov and type in Ombudsman. We are here to help. In Detroit, we are all one team. When you win, we all win.
I love teaching others because when I first got into the healthcare field, people overlooked me. I was really a ninth grade dropout who had no education, but I was determined to make something of myself for my baby. So Motor City matched the funds I put into my business. They awarded me $20,000. So now I'm able to focus solely on first step healthcare training and give it everything it needs. All because I live in Detroit.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Welcome back to McShane's with Chief Todd Bettison, Jim Nardoni, former police chief at Trenton, Eric Brown, literacy expert, attorney Vanessa Moss, and Deadline Detroit co-founder Alan Langle. Vanessa, we're going to go to you. Your outrage of the week.
I don't have one.
Okay.
I'm just going to back on you guys. I couldn't decide what I wanted to talk about. We talked so much during the week, Wednesday, Friday, and today. So I'm just gonna piggyback and give my opinions on the rest of you guys.
Alan.
I was going to say I'm following like this morning or last night actually in the New York Times as a story about Pete Hegseth's mom who sent an email to him talking about how she's tired of him abusing women, and the point being, look, it happens, whatever. But Donald Trump has decided to bypass FBI background checks, and also what I'm hearing is that he's decided that in the past when there have been conversations with foreign leaders, there's usually other people from the State Department or whatever listening, helping to translate, and he's decided to bypass that. I see a very scary path for where we're going here, but that's fine.
Let me ask you this, though. When is it that all of the sudden, because the president-elect talked about the FBI and talked about, how, basically they're crooked, but in the Black community, we never really embraced the FBI. So is it because he is the messenger? Or what is it? Because
what do you suggest?
Why is it a bad thing? Vanessa ain't outraged. She probably has 10 pair of eyewear. Okay, Taylor May.
Well, look, you know what? You don't get rid of, if we don't like the Detroit Police Department, everything they're doing, we don't get rid of the Detroit Police Department. We make it better. If people don't like certain things the FBI is doing, we don't get rid of the FBI. The FBI, look, for whatever you think, the FBI does some amazing stuff, and Todd would know this. I mean, everything from violent crime to white collar.
And they have done so. And they have done some amazing bullshit too. Listen, we got folks on all sides that don't like that. That don't like the FBI. Eric.
Not necessarily an outrage, but I would definitely love to see more Detroit residents come out and support Detroit King and Detroit Cass Tech today in the state championships game. Football, Division I, Cass Tech, Division III, King. King is at 12:30. Cass Tech is at 7:30. I mean, it's when I grew up, you never saw Detroit high school football teams in the state playoffs. Over the last 20 years, King and Cass has been there on a regular basis. So the citizens, I go to the games, the citizens of Detroit need to come out and support these kids.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give you a little history lesson, Eric. There was a time where Detroit opted not to participate in the state finals in any sport. To them, it was the city championships and the city versus the Catholic School League. Whoever won that, they thought themselves as the best. But that was back when Jim was a young guy in the 40s and 50s. Jim, your outrage of the week.
Hey, I'm really excited. Hey, Alan, that's what Trump said. He's not going to go through the FBI. Well, typically, we talked about this a little bit last night, and that's not exactly how it works, right? When you get to a cabinet position, you have to have a clearance, right? Most of these guys require a clearance. Clearances are given out usually by the Department of Defense, and they work in conjunction with law enforcement. So to suggest that, I never read that Trump said that he's not going through the FBI. Maybe he's not.
They've said that multiple times. Well, it's not, Jim. It's not that the FBI. Look, if somebody gets appointed, the FBI is going to have to do a background check to see if they qualify for security clearance. But normally, to avoid the mess in a Senate hearing and all the controversy and chaos, they usually want to know like what the person's background is, so they can make a decision whether they want to go through with it.
Trump likes the chaos, and he has people in the Senate like Tommy Tuberville and all these other folks that's going to be his cheerleaders. And I think at the end, I think at the end of the day, this guy is not going to make it through the confirmation hearing.
He's a bad candidate. My biggest problem with him was the way he handled the police in San Francisco or the security when he was confronted out there. He said he has the First Amendment right to free speech, but you don't have the First Amendment right to whatever he was doing out there, tearing up the building and raising hell. And you cannot be.
And when your own mother disown you, you know you have a problem, Vanessa.
Yeah, I just want for the viewers to know that this is the second time on Detroit in Black and White that the panel has said a person is not going to make it through. The first person was Gates. He's the second person. Let's see what happens. Let's go, Detroit Black and White. Let's go.
We're at the beginning of the process. This is we're already talking about what Donald Trump is doing, right? He's not even the darn president yet.
But he's acting like it. He's acting like it. Well, and the media. Go ahead, Jim.
Why don't we work together? This is my outrage. Whether it's Joy Reid or Dana Nessel losing their freaking mind about saying the police aren't going to enforce domestic violence laws because Donald Trump's the president. Where in the heck are we going? This is ridiculous. The police officers don't answer to Donald Trump. They answer to their chief, who's here on my right in Detroit. And if they don't enforce domestic violence, if they don't take it seriously, the chief is going to have a question for that.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do when Donald Trump become the president? And he said that the folks that stormed the Capitol on January the 6th can all go home. They're heroes. I'm a blanket part in all of them. How you deal with that?
I have a question for the chief. As seeing January 6th, where there were a lot of police officers who were injured. What was your feeling about that whole thing?
Video doesn't lie. And so when you're looking at it and we're all seeing it and we saw what happened, you go back to the emotions and the feelings. And I saw my fellow law enforcement officers screaming in pain, and let me say this. We have sent officers to inaugurations from the Detroit Police Department as well as other partners do that as well. And you it's not a good thing. It gives you a sickening feeling, and so I definitely don't condone it nor support it at all. And then when it goes to the domestic violence, we're going to always follow Michigan laws and City of Detroit ordinances as well. And so that's our job to ensure that we maintain public order, maintain safety, and then enforce the laws and keep our citizens safe. So the City of Detroit, our citizens, I'm going to tell Detroiters, y'all in good shape with me. And Adolf,
where was Dana Nassau at when the campaign? Listen, I was in an Uber here in St. Louis where the young brother was talking about he was just making small talk, said where you from, Detroit, Michigan, etc. I told him I used to come through St. Louis when I lived in Colorado, and he said, "Man, Colorado is a mess." I said, "How?" He said, "Denver is a sanctuary city. The immigrants came here, took our benefits." I mean, you would thought you was talking to a mega guy. Now we talking to this African American man in his 20s, young man in his 20s, and he said they never listened to us. He said Democrats, they didn't believe that people like me was going to go and vote for Donald Trump because I didn't want a man playing sports with my daughter. And their message, listen, my outrage is Democrats didn't get it. They didn't listen to those folks that was their backbone of their campaign, and they all went and left, whether they voted or not voted.
Question, Adolf, are they listening now? You say they didn't get it. Did they get it now?
No, listen, it's kind of late because some of the mega donors that gave the Harris campaign all this money, we had one that says Barron Trump is smarter than all the Democratic strategists put together. He's pissed that they took his money and they gave it to Beyonce and Jay-Z and Oprah. That's what the perception is. I'm not saying it happened, but that's the perception.
You know what? I think when we talk about messaging by the Democrats, I think I agree they missed some of the messaging there, but there's a fine line between accommodating people bigotry. Like they turn loose on transgender people are scared since this campaign. They fear for their lives. They've created this, like, it's okay to hate transgender people. It's okay to hate these kind of people. It's okay to demonize immigrants. And there's got to be a balance. I agree. The Democrats miss some of the messaging.
But Alan,
sure.
and I'm against all the bigotry and all the other homophobic shit. But listen, if you see there was a male swimmer. He swam in the NCAA championships as a male, and the next year he was swimming with the women as a woman. You don't think he got an advantage over that?
Right.
I would be upset if all of a sudden Mark Spitz won 7 gold medals, and then the next Olympics he's swimming as a woman. I'm going to say, no, you can't do that.
Right.
I mean, not just that, we just have to get rid of this identity politics. And it just burns me up when people consistently defend one side or the other when both of them ain't, neither one of them are shit. But I just get sick and tired of people trying to, particularly Black people, tell me I should give a damn about the Democratic Party. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. People have to think for themselves, do their own research, and make their own decisions. It makes I'm still infuriated.
It's a two-party system, Eric.
I'm still infuriated that black males are marginalized based on this messaging, the narrative that was put out saying that black men hate black women because they're not supporting Kamala Harris. At the end of the day, she was a terrible candidate. I don't care how nobody, see, somebody can argue with me till I'm dead. She was a terrible candidate. She had never been anointed to the role, and the Democratic Party showed themselves to be fools by thinking that changing one person over the other, because it was already trending that people were not going to be voting Democrat anyway. So for people to be so mad that people did not support the Democratic Party, wake up.
But a lot of people stayed home. We're gonna take a break and we'll come back with you, Vanessa, and our special guest, Police Chief Todd Bettison, and be right back.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
In the heart of Detroit, Bruce Simpson. Our city ombudsman and his team are dedicated to making your voice heard. The City of Detroit Ombudsman is a liaison between the City of Detroit and all persons who have a complaint or inquiry into the operation of a city department or the conduct of a city employee. The Ombudsman works as an independent oversight to provide individuals with an opportunity of giving a confidential avenue to address complaints. You can reach the Ombudsman's office at 313-224-6000 or email us at ombudsmandetroitmi.gov. You can also visit us at the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. For more information, go to www.detroitmi.gov and type in Ombudsman. We are here to help. In Detroit, we are all one team. When you win, we all win.
I love teaching.
Really good, isn't it?
I love teaching others because when I first got into the healthcare field, people overlooked me. I was really a ninth grade dropout who had no education, but I was determined to make something of myself for my baby. So Motor City matched the funds I put into my business. They awarded me $20,000. So now I'm able to focus solely on first step healthcare training and give it everything it needs. All because I live in Detroit.
Well, welcome back to Detroit in Black and White here at McShane's, Michigan and Trumbull. Vanessa, you had a comment before we took a break.
Yes, I just want to give a shout out to all those people that are watching. We got some new people watching. Those people that Antoine Hayes, it's time to own fail policy. 15 to 20 million illegal migrants is unacceptable. Transvestites and classroom reading to babies is unacceptable. $500 billion in taxpayer money in proxy wars, no. We also have Jill Sheridan, who always taps in, Derek Henry, someone by the name of Eli. Thank you so much for watching Detroit in Black and White. We want you to like, subscribe, and share. Tell all your friends about it. We always have spirited conversations. Everybody have their own opinions, and those opinions belong to those individuals. And so I acknowledge people, and I also state that all of us have our own independent opinions, and they belong to us.
No question. I wanted to ask the chief. Well, the president-elect said that they're going to deport thousands of illegal immigrants. How were things done in the past when ICE came to Detroit looking for people who overstayed their visas and slipped into the country, et cetera?
Yeah, so, ICE has a job to do. The Detroit Police Department has a job to do, and our job is not immigration. And so we're not doing immigration enforcement. And so even though we are not considered a sanctuary city, which we are not, we are a welcoming city. And so to, the immigrants inside the city of Detroit, we don't have the problems that many other cities have, like the Denvers. I know it's a lot worse in Chicago. New York has been horrible, but I just haven't seen the level here. But going to specifically to your question, the Detroit Police Department is enforcing local and state law. We're not immigration, so my officers are not going to be out there participating in immigration enforcement. That's just not what we do.
Alan?
I have a question for Eric, and I'm not saying this in a critical way or anything, but explain to me what I know you say a lot of black voters should not be beholden to the Democratic Party.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, I understand that, but what is it that is appealing to the black voters with Trump? What's appealing about Trump to the black voters?
I can't answer that. I didn't vote for Trump. I don't like Trump, so I cannot speak for another man and why they voted for Donald Trump. I can speak for why black people are touted the Democratic Party. And since 1964, over 80% of blacks have voted Democrat. What is the return on the investment? You invest 85% of any money into something, you want to return your investment. Tell me, you asking me about black people, tell me what has black people gotten from the Democratic Party since 1964? Other than free
lip service. We got a lot of lip service, but we done got some stuff. And you know what? We haven't gotten what a supporter like the black community should have gotten. But it is what it is, and we got to make demands. No, you got to get power. You got to make demands. You got to have an agenda, and you got to have a list of things that you want before you just go blindly support folks. And I talked about the Democrats was going to have a problem all year because I didn't see it. I call folks, beg people, are y'all in the city? Are y'all getting organizations out? You know, we don't have those kind of people like Coleman Young and John Conyers and all these folks that knew how to mobilize voters, and people listen to them. They could go into senior buildings, etc. We don't have that. We had the money. We had the Democrats had $1 billion. And what did they do with it? You know, I would like to see a tally sheet. What did they spend it on? NBC, CBS, and all the other stations probably got the majority of the money.
But I think, let me say this. I think what Eric is saying, that some people feel like in the past they've galvanized and have stood behind the party, and in return, they got nothing. I think that's what Eric is saying. I also think that he's saying that people are sick and tired of the same old. And so they decided to A, vote the alternative, or B, sit the heck out, because there were a lot of people who sat out. We look at even in Detroit, how many people did not participate. So when you say that Adolph, you're talking about galvanizing and standing behind. Galvanizing and standing behind to get what is what people.
Well, that's why you got to have your own agenda. It was like the Black Lives Matters protest here in Detroit. All I saw was them walking down Michigan Avenue every day. For what? What did they get out of it? They painted a half of Woodward saying Black Lives Matter. What did they get out of it? Tell me, did they have a list of demands? Did they have a list of demands from this corporate America saying stop making Detroit a food desert, bring retail back? We spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year. No, all they did was march down Michigan Avenue, back and forth. And I have to give the Detroit Police Department credit, because in other places it was chaos. Here, they had their moments, but basically it was peaceful. It was everybody was singing songs and they enjoyed themselves. And that's not the way to do it.
I have a question for the chief. Chief, what do you think, Chief? Let me just ask the chief.
Wait a minute. Only one talk at a time. Go ahead.
Let me ask the chief a question.
Chief, somebody said that you were babbling, but you got somebody that has your back who said that you're not babbling. That people
I think we should talk about it.
Enforcement. I think that's something that we should talk about, because
I'd like to talk about it.
Detroit. Yes, this is Detroit in black and white, and we all have opinions. But guess what? The people who are watching have opinions. People who are watching are excited that the chief is here. And so someone has made a comment saying that all you're doing is babbling, where you have another person who says that you're not, that people need to understand the different different areas of law and what your role basically is as the Detroit police chief and what the Detroit Police Department does.
I'll let
and then I have a question.
Not babbling at all. Saying specifically what we will do and what we will not do.
First, Antoine answered the question I think that you asked of Eric Allen, but Stedman said that made a I guess a suggestion that I think there is some distinction. I think it's Christina that made it clear is that the chief did not sit down and he's not sitting here saying he's not going to work with these federal bureaus. That's not what he said. The distinction is the Detroit police officers, Detroit police departments out there going for, they're dealing with robberies, they're dealing with homicides, they're dealing with domestic violence, they're dealing with all these crimes that fall under state law, right? And local law. The federal agencies, they're at a whole different level. He has not sat here and said, I'm not going to help ICE. He didn't say that. What he's suggesting to our viewers is that the Detroit Police Department is busy enough dealing with all the issues that they have to deal with. ICE will come in. Homeland Security. We had 2 officers assigned to Homeland Security, right? So I understand a little bit about HSI and ICE, and I understand what they do, but they do something at a whole different level. If someone is a immigrant that's here undocumented and they committed a crime, a state crime, I'm sure the chief will be glad to deal with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Chief.
Specifically, we, the Detroit Police Department, city police, do not do immigration enforcement. We're not in the business of deporting people. However, if an immigrant, illegal or legal, or any other citizen, America, etc., or just visiting from another country, commit a crime inside the city of Detroit, a violent crime, I'm going to hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
Chief,
Go ahead, Alan.
I've got it. Let me ask a question, Chief. What impact, if any, did the Black Lives Matter, all the demonstrations have on the department, the Detroit Police Department?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. And we didn't have the violence that was saw in so many cities. And that's two-part. The way that we responded, we believe in the freedom to protest. Matter of fact, we made it easy for individuals to express their right to protest. We even put officers out there, cleared lanes of traffic so that they were safe as they protested the street, and made it very clear. What we won't tolerate is individuals who are going to bring harm, destroy property, etc. Our community had our back too. And let me take you back, because I was out there on the front lines during the protest. I was also the first police chief in the country to take a knee. I don't talk about it often, but I was the first, got national attention for that as well. Here's the thing. Our officers did an amazing job. Our community did an amazing job. I had Pastor Mo out there. I had Reverend Wendell Anthony. It was so many others out there, and they sent a strong message to many of the outside agitators that came. Antifa came. It was a lot of insurgents that came there as well who tried to incite violence. But our message was, hey, not the city of Detroit. You didn't check in with the local Detroiters to really understand the relationship and the connectivity and engagement that the Detroit Police Department had with their community. If they had checked in, they would have knew that they was in the wrong place.
I'm glad you. Let me ask you real quick. The policies has that whole movement made any changes to your department? Are you more aware, or was it not that
it didn't make any changes to our department whatsoever, because we're already as far as best practices, we already have best practices when it comes to policing. At one point we went to a federal consent decree, and now the best policies that came out of that are just our policies. We have body worn cameras that our officers wear, that we enforce and mandate. Would you be surprised to know that there are so many departments in the whole state of Michigan that still don't have body-worn cameras? We already banned chokeholds. Some departments, and that's what got the whole thing started anyway. When you think about suppressing somebody's air supply, a chokehold, we don't do chokeholds. We did implement a policy of duty to intervene. That was one thing, Alan, that as a result of the George Floyd, we did implement a policy of duty to intervene, that if officers see another officer that is engaged in causing harm to a citizen, they now have to have a duty to intervene to stop that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Alan, Black Lives Matter, whatever. Listen, I stand by what I say. They had some nice marches. That's all I could say. And they didn't get one fucking thing done. If you're gonna protest and stuff, and it was peaceful, and I agree with what the chief was stated. We're gonna take another break. We're gonna come back and we'll go with our final segment. This is Detroit in Black and White with Police Chief Todd Bettison, Jim Nardoni, Eric Brown, Vanessa Moss, and Alan Langle.
I love teaching others because when I first got into the healthcare field, people overlooked me. I was really a ninth grade dropout who had no education, but I was determined to make something of myself for my baby. So Motor City matched the funds I put into my business. They awarded me $20,000. So now I'm able to focus solely on first step healthcare training and give it everything it needs. All because I live in Detroit.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabria, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
In the heart of Detroit, Bruce Simpson. Our city ombudsman and his team are dedicated to making your voice heard. The City of Detroit Ombudsman is a liaison between the City of Detroit and all persons who have a complaint or inquiry into the operation of a city department or the conduct of a city employee. The Ombudsman works as an independent oversight to provide individuals with an opportunity of giving a confidential avenue to address complaints. You can reach the Ombudsman's office at 313-224-6000 or email us at ombudsmandetroitmi.gov. You can also visit us at the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. For more information, go to www.detroitmi.gov and type in Ombudsman. We are here to help. In Detroit, we are all one team. When you win, we all win.
Welcome back, Detroit in Black and White. Chief, since you became chief, what is some of the most important issues that you want to tackle as the new police chief?
Well, one of the things that is happening, and it's happening nationwide, it happens state level, it happens locally as well. And if you ever watched the LifeLock commercials where they talk about, your credit and people can steal your identity, is one thing that's really occurring too, the house theft, where people can, with fraudulent deeds, like steal your most valuable asset, your house. And so that's one of the things that I'm really establishing right now. I'm going to have a unit that's dealing specifically with that because it's happening in the city of Detroit. And so I'm going to ensure the individual's property is secure. Another thing is that I hear from residents all the time too. Speeders on side streets blowing all these stop signs. We have a lot of traffic enforcement that takes place on the main streets, but really getting our officers to concentrate on those side streets too. So taking them somewhat off the main streets, putting them on, like your street, from Main Street to your street, and then continuing the effort. I'm an and person, so I always want to add more layers to it, because I can tell you this: violent crime is down in the city of Detroit. Matter of fact, it's down at historic lows. At the first of the year, we reported out that it had been its lowest in 6 decades, our homicides. And so this year, we're already beating that trend, and we're continuing it down. I'm looking at really coming in more than 200 homicides. And so folks out there will say, that's still a lot. But in the city of Detroit, traditionally, it was at one point, we had 300, 400, and going way back, we had 600, 800. But right now, we're continuously every year chipping away at it, getting our violent crime to be lower and lower. And those are really the things that I'm going to be focused on, and ensuring that it's overall safety for the citizens of Detroit, and working on improving quality of life too.
How do we make the schools safe? Do we put more police officers in the schools, or are we still shorthanded with a lot of police officers that needed to be on the streets and not in the schools or on the buses?
No, so matter of fact, the Detroit Police Department, we've taken over transit, and so we have officers that are handling DDOT, and so we have that. We have a transit unit. When it comes to schools, it's a separation of power between city and the schools. The schools fall really up under the state, and so they actually have their own police department, which is separate from the Detroit Police Department, but children are all of our responsibilities, and so they handle school grounds. The Detroit Police Department handles everything else, but I work very closely with the chief over there, and we're going to continue to support them in any way possible, and so it's all about collaboration.
Chief, do you think that, like in DC, the officers who are inside the schools are part of the department? Would it make any difference if that were the case where you had control over that department, or does it not matter?
I'm not gonna step into that. I know we have Nikolai Beatty, and they have their own complete separation. And so after I continue to get the homicides down a lot lower in the city of Detroit, and continue to push our carjackings down, which we're doing a phenomenal job. I'll give you an example. Carjackings are down right now 14% in the city of Detroit. And so I remember the point when it used to be like 500 a year. And so as of this year, we've had 128 carjackings. That's still too many, but putting programs like green light in place, we're over 1,000 green light locations. We know that has contributed significantly to the level of carjackings going down in the city of Detroit. But I'm looking at my crime right now. In every category of violent crime, we're down. In every category, we're down. Robberies, our non-fatal shootings are down 23%. So I have 178 fewer people shot this year compared to the same period of time of last year. So I'm going to keep on doing that, but continuing to add more and more when it comes to making sure our officers are out there supporting the community.
Well, I'm an advocate of the city controlling the school system, and I said it that whoever wins the mayoral race next year, that should be part of the agenda, is to take control of the schools. And a lot of people disagree and say that the school board is the ones that should be making all the decisions, but they haven't made great decisions in the last 10 or 15 years. And I think that we do. They used to laugh at Detroit public schools for putting metal detectors in the schools when nobody else did. And we haven't had the mass shootings inside schools, but we have had mass shootings outside of the schools. And I think that we could do a better job in making our kids safe. That's just me.
Adolph, are you gonna put your head in for mayor? Are you gonna run for mayor?
No, I'm not. I'm not running for. I'm running away from running for mayor.
Right.
But to your point, Adolph, I posted last week that if anyone is running for mayor does not have education as part of their platform, step the fuck off. And I got a lot of responses behind it.
Well, we used to have where truancy, we had officers go out and pick up kids that wasn't in school. But how do you enforce that? Because you got homeschooling, you got all kind of alternative education vehicles that people are using. So here you can go at 10 o'clock in the morning and see 10 or 15 kids downtown hanging out. Stuff while they should be in school.
They're not enforcing it. I was talking to a guy just this past Wednesday. He's a teacher. He has a student that has already had 45 days. Automatically, the person be held back. But you have the school system as well as the parent saying, "No way, you're going to hold my child back." Yeah. So they're not consistent with their own rules.
And Adolph, I will say they're still truancy officers. I mean, they still have that. So if you think that so I don't know how effective it is, but we still do have.
They have a whole department, truancy department.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I guess Police Chief Todd Bettison, your final thought on Detroit in black and white.
Well, I'm feeling good. I don't have an outrage as of this week. Yesterday was my birthday, and so
Happy
I felt
birthday.
Happy
birthday.
Yeah. So I celebrated my 54th birthday yesterday, and so I'm feeling good. Yeah. Well, hey, Jim just said I'm just a kid, so thank you, sir. Make me feel great.
You look like the president. About 4 years. Here up.
Your final thought, Jim.
Okay, I'm gonna first thanks to all our viewers. Great debate today. Thank you. And I'm gonna step outside the boundaries for just a second. All right, I was a police chief. I participated in several processes to become police chief somewhere else. Some good, some bad. But I'm gonna tell you this: if the city of Detroit doesn't take this interim title away from this gentleman, am I right? Very soon, they're making a mistake. You're not gonna find a better police chief in Indianapolis or Memphis or Columbus or anywhere else. This gentleman has given his all to the city of Detroit from the day he was sworn in as a rookie police officer, probably close to 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you know anybody in the city, tell them to get off their butts and make this guy permanent chief so he can get on with what he needs to get done.
Yeah. So
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to it. God, I'm feeling good about it. But what God has in store, it'll be what it be. But thank you.
Okay, Eric.
Come on, go back to a comment you made earlier, Adolph, and with regards to not making demands. People knew that Donald Trump was running for office since 2015, and they have done literally nothing. Going forward, they do not understand the 3 C's: coalition, and caucusing. Shame on them.
Vanessa.
Well, I want to first acknowledge all those new people that are watching the show. There are people ask questions. There was one question asked of the chief about automobiles being stolen at the dealerships, if that was down or up. But the fact of the matter is, listen, Timothy Squire Bay, Burdell Bird, who asked what's the status of automobile theft. I didn't finish reading it, but Burdell Bird, we have Antoine Hayes, we have Karen Winston, who watches all the time, we have Duela Boyce, we have some frequent flyers, but we also have some new people. Shout out to Christina M., my soror. Thank you so much for watching. The other thing is, Chief, I want to tell you that Miss Sheila, what's up? I'm always out. I have friends that work for the police department. When I tell you, you have got nothing but praise. And, I've been on this earth a little bit longer than you. Your appointment as chief of police has been applauded. People are really excited. You're talking about the rank and file. I'm telling you, people are really excited. And that's something you should be really proud of. Someone said, listen, he came to the precinct and nobody else has ever done that before. He came and he spoke to all of us personally at each precinct. That means that you care. That means that you're vested. Congratulations. And catch us on Wednesday.
Alan. You get the final word.
Yeah, I'd like to say I think it's been, obviously some negative things this year, but I'd like to say the NFL draft, the tree lighting and stuff like that. I think the city has done an amazing job of really keeping those events from getting out of control, and yet the large crowds. I mean, the city of Detroit has to take a bow, and the police department and everyone who's organized it. We had the train station concerts. We've had a lot of very cool events this year that have turned out very well. So.
Well, I still don't understand why somebody would go downtown to see somebody turn on some Christmas lights. But anyway, anyway, thank you, Chief. And I hope that we see you at the end of every month, like you was when you was the deputy mayor. We love to have the updates on what's happening in the Detroit Police Department. Chief Todd Bettison, Jim Nardoni, thank you. Eric Brown, as always. Alan Langle. Attorney Vanessa Moss said she had a headache, but she gave a few of us on this panel a headache today. Teresa, thank you. And to all our listeners and viewers, thank you. And we'll be back on Wednesday, Detroit in Black and White.